Good morning, traders. Welcome to this week's Elliott Wave Forex and Cryptocurrency Market Analysis webinar. I hope you all had a great week. Right, so it looks like the week was not so great last week. There hasn't been much movement in the market. Most of the pairs price has been in a range. So we're going to be looking at how the week played out. We're going to look at some of the trade setups that we had and some of the red trade recaps that we had, and what we are looking for in going forward. All right, so look out also for the timestamps. If you go onto the channel, on each and every video, you will find timestamps for each and every pair that we go through here. So I know not everybody is looking for the same pairs, and some are just looking for a few pairs. So before you head off to your favorite pairs, just watch out for the contact details there under the description of the videos. Something interesting there is our new social media platforms. Please check that out, especially our Facebook page. The link is there. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll find all these trade setups that we go through on a daily basis and how we trade them practically. You may learn something there. So it's our Facebook page and our Twitter page. Please like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You will find a lot of chats. What was interesting on my Facebook channel was that about 3-4 years back, when I started blogging and sending out chats, Facebook gives you a reminder, and there are these charts that we've traded some 4-3 years back that pop up, and I share them as well. So you can see the consistency over the years. Over the past 4 years, we've been doing the same thing over and over, and that is how you master something. You master something by doing it over and over consistently. That's all we've been doing. We've been doing the same thing. All right, so watch out for those pages. Please drop a like and follow on Facebook as well as Twitter. And please subscribe onto the channel if you're new here, so that you can get a notification next time we post a video. All right, let's get started with trade setups. So not much in the market last week, but the market looks to be setting up pretty nicely. Do not rush. So what we had on the cryptocurrencies, let's start with the cryptocurrencies. Please make a note, watch out for the next cryptocurrency video immediately after this, or you can check it on the channel, the Cryptocurrency Weekly Outlook, where you're going to get detailed update on the cryptocurrencies. We're not going to go through the cryptocurrencies here. We're just going to go briefly onto the trade setups that we had on the cryptos and some of the pairs. Now, this is Ripple. So most of you who have been following for a while will remember that we have been looking at the cryptocurrencies downside for the last couple of weeks, not just today. So let's have that one loading up. Right, so that is Ripple. We didn't only focus that Ripple was going to drop from here. We've been looking for Ripple to make a push to the upside. We've started forecasting Ripple for the move to the upside and then downside. Now, if you look at Ripple, currently we are around somewhere here, and the cryptocurrencies are setting up for very high probable moves for continuation to the downside in the coming week. All right, so watch out for the cryptocurrencies. So they're looking very interesting, very straightforward analysis and setups for the cryptos in the next coming week. So this is Ripple, and this is how Ripple looked in the last week. What we have currently is that Ripple has made another corrective structure. This is the one that I'm talking about for this week. So we'll be looking simply for continuation to the downside. Our indicator is confirming that the moves are going to continue to the downside. The cryptos are going to continue to the downside. Now, we also had latest update on Bitcoin last week. Bitcoin, we've been trying to pick it up. Also, we focused on that because now it was going to push up higher and then make a move to the downside. But this was our specific entry here when Bitcoin was at about 9,600, 10,000 actually. Then we're looking for Bitcoin to come to the downside. It has been very slow. You will see that Bitcoin still is just around here. Let me just open Bitcoin so you can see where we are with Bitcoin. We have not started with the analysis yet. Just want to show you where we are. It has not really made a move, but it's moving in the direction that we are looking for. So let's just clear this here. Let's get my annotation tool out here. Right. Now, this is Bitcoin. This is where we are. I'll just switch off here so you can see. I don't want to get carried away into doing analysis here. This is where we are. This is where we picked Bitcoin up from here. We're expecting a move to the upside and then downside. And ever since then, all these continuation patterns, we have been forecasting them for downside. Let me just go back to the 1 hour so you can see clearly here the exact structure on a Bitcoin and the rest. Now, you can also see this on our social media pages. This is Bitcoin. We have been looking for Bitcoin to make a drop. So this is the first drop here on this corrective structure. That's the one that you see here, where we're forecasting this one to drop at around 10,200. We're forecasting this move to the downside. Now, it does not go straight, as you can see, but we can see the structure that it is forming. We're simply looking for this. We're looking for it to at least come back to around the 8,000 area. What's going to happen here? That is the forecast for the next crypto webinar. Look out for it. But for the next week, we're looking for the cryptocurrencies to drop. Now, let me just run through the setups here before I get carried away with the analysis. So this is Bitcoin. This is what is happening, as you've already seen. We're currently on the positive here. We're still looking for it to get around that area. This is actually the new setup. Remember, the first setup was here for entry. This is an updated one after it made the corrective structure here. That is Bitcoin, and we also have, this is the latest update for last week, and this is what is happening. This is what was happening last week with Bitcoin. You've seen the latest structure now. Ethereum, latest update for last week. Now we are dropping here on Ethereum. As you can see, we've already made a bit of a drop there. Corrected again, it's gonna continue lower. And Litecoin, the same. As you can see, the structure is simple. Go check your charts. You'll see that the cryptocurrencies are dropping. And the nice one that is now almost reaching target, this is still Litecoin. This is how it's playing out after that move. And the nice one that is playing out nicely is actually Ripple. Oh, we've already looked at Ripple. Let's just go quickly to Ripple. So Ripple, it was the first one that we looked at. This is Ripple. This is Ripple. Okay, so that's how they have played out. The cryptos have played out. Let's go to the latest ones that we've got. So we had last week, we had this move last week. This is Pound Chief. Now, Pound Chief, we forecasted at 450 pips to the downside. Forecasted peep perfect. There's no such a way of making it up. Peep perfect from right here at the top, right to where we focused that it was going to make a move. Now, Pound Chief has already made this reversal. Is this now a reversal? Look out for the chart of the week on our social media pages. As I've explained in the beginning, you'll find the chart of the week and an update on Pound Chief because it's looking good. Last week we had gold as our chart of the week. It is still in play. We're going to look at that. We're going to continue looking at that. We're going to update gold and how that has played out. Now, talking about gold, so let me just finish the structures that we had. So this was a Pound Chief, and this is the 400 pip move showed last week. Last week it was before we got to target. We've now reached target. We've now reversed. How did we know that it was going to drop here? It was going to reverse here, and we're going to have a setup for upside here. That is because wave analysis helps us to do that, to make right decisions. Right, so that is Pound Chief. Now, Pound CAD is continuing to the downside. We had continuation to the downside, although pretty slow. We had a corrective structure here. We still looked for continuation to the downside in the week. So it was just a matter of holding these trades. As you can see, this was last week's Sunday, and Pound CAD has dropped, but we may be seeing something different this week. So we're going to be looking at that shortly. Pound AUD, continuation to the downside. This is where we got Pound AUD set up, entry there, and still continuing to the downside. Now, we've got a bit of a reversal here. Is this the reversal or is it a pullback? We're going to update that. But that is how Pound AUD has played out and some of the setups that we had. So I showed you how Euro Pound made, we had an entry here, Euro Pound just made a move here and reversed, hit our stop, made another move to the upside, and now we have got a setup for the downside. That means the pound pairs may be setting up for short moves to the upside in the coming week. Now, let's talk about our trade of the week for last week. It may still be on our social media platforms, so you can check it out there for an update because it is still a valid setup. So let's just have a look at the latest setup and how we traded those setups. So we didn't only look at gold in the group, we also looked at silver. Let's have a look. Now this is, let's have a look at gold. Now remember, we focused at gold and we expected a move on gold. Now, if you look at this This is the difference between us and most of the traders out there. Now, this is how we identify, pinpoint the entry on gold. Okay, if you're not able to identify entries, you may have found gold already, having already made a move, about a $10 move. Okay, so we got an entry here on gold. It makes a move to the upside and it was now reversed like this. Now, what does that reversal mean? Somebody sent me a private text saying gold is not playing out as we forecasted. But if you look at this structure, now we're doing analysis. We're not going to come back to gold. So we're doing analysis now. This is gold. We've made 1, 2, we've made 3, we've made 4. Gold has made a 5 now with this move that we're forecasting. We're actually expecting that we're going to hold throughout the bigger wave. Look at this. This is 1, this is 2. Now we make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in purple. It makes a pullback. Now that pullback is the green wave 4. That is the pullback that we're currently in. And that is why the gold setup is still in play. We're currently still at entry. We've made a move to the upside. We're now currently back at entry. And we're going to be looking for a continuation to the upside on gold. This is the gold structure. You can see what we expected. Lower degree here, purple. We wanted this move. We just didn't think that the move was going to come back onto our stop. If you're lucky and you've put in your stop properly, you should still be in the trade, because now we are only looking for the wave 4 in this degree. This is the wave 4 that we're looking at now. Let's have a look at gold live chart. And I'm gonna start so long with the commodities. Let's start with gold. All right, so let's have a look at gold and we'll look at silver as well. Now this is gold, this is the new setup, this is the latest update. As you can see, nothing has changed. Structure is playing out as it should. Structure is playing out as it should. Are we going to make a move to the upside? Look at the setup. We've got a setup and we're going to be looking for a continuation to the upside, but also still needs to be confirmed. You can see here what we've got now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the waves in that degree has confirmed. Now we're looking for this 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 within the wave 3. That is what you see there. Now, are we busy forming a wave 4? Is wave 4 complete? This wave 4 can even do this structure. We can have 1, 2, 3 within the wave 4 before we make a move to the upside. Obviously, yes, it may take us out, but we will be looking for another entry. That is part of trading. We'll be looking for another entry for upside as soon as we've got confirmation. May go from here, or the structure may be slightly bigger because this is now the bigger degree. That is how we looked at gold, and that is the update. Look out for the latest chart on our social media platform, that is on Facebook and then on Twitter. We're going to be adding the Instagram page as well. Check it out there. Silver, we also had a setup for silver for those that like to trade silver. As you can see, pinpointed entries. This is where silver was playing out, has pushed up about 70 pips before reversing. Let's look at an update on silver. This is now silver. Now the big entry risk and reward here that you see is when we took this one right at the bottom. Remember, this is where we got silver. The silver move, we got it in the wave 1. We traded the whole wave 3 that you see up to current wave 4. So this is where the setup was, the first one. This is where we got the trade setup. You can look at that from our past videos. Now we are within this wave 4. This wave 4 may be incomplete, or we may be starting a move here with a leading diagonal. If that is a leading diagonal, that means we're going to have 1, 2, 3 here. And we're going to go for our wave 5 that we're looking for on silver. So expect a slight pullback on silver, a slight pullback on gold for continuation to the upside. Check out our pages for an update. That's how we're looking at that. Oil, nothing new there on oil with this move here. So the structure may be changing to be an ending diagonal here. Just need to update the structure. So we may be getting an ending diagonal. If this is an ending diagonal, that means oil will keep pushing up higher, crawling up higher here. We're gonna get a corrective structure like that before we make a move to the upside. So it's risky to buy oil at this level. It's risky to sell it because it may come down correctively. So just watch out for that. All right, so now let's start with the major pairs. We'll start with the US dollar pairs. Let's start with the dollar index. Dollar index. So for the last couple of days or weeks, we've been looking at this structure. There are two things that could potentially play out here. This could be a three-wave structure, and we look for this move to the downside. Now the DXY is showing some strength, but the individual pairs like US dollar CHF, US dollar CAD are showing much more weakness to the downside. So this will then likely play out as the 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 in this degree. Remember what we have here. This is our corrective structure here. This is our corrective structure there. Right, now let's just identify that corrective structure properly. This is our corrective structure here. 1, 2, 3. That's what we have here. And this is actually a lower degree. Let's use a different color. Let's use red here. These are 1, 2, 3. And we're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this degree. We already have this pulsing move here in yellow. We already have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we're looking for is this ABC structure to complete. Now the question is whether this is our C and we are reversing from here, or this is still going to be a wave 4 and a 5, and then we're going to reverse after testing the level here and then upside. For now, it is looking likely that we are still going to continue lower and the DXY is going to show more weakness. If you can see the pulsing move here, it's not convincing. This can still continue to the downside, and this is very corrective. All right, so that is the DXY. Look out for that corrective structure, and we're going to eventually look for downside there. Euro, US dollar is the inverse of the DXY. It's showing downside, short downside, but eventually, just like the DXY, you're looking at this bigger corrective structure that could potentially make this structure and one more up before we make a move to the downside. But short term, what we're seeing here is that there is weakness, and this is going to make a move to the downside in the short term. So that's what we're looking for. We've had this corrective structure. We've had this 1 here, 2, 3 here. What structure is going to form here? We are waiting to see that. So there's a interesting structure that could potentially be forming here, which looks something like this. We've got this one here, we've got this, and we have something like this. This is why I'm focusing downside, and this could be your structure, corrective structure like that. Now, if you've got something like that, you can see that we've got 3 waves down here, and this could be another 3 waves, and we get a move to we're going to move like this, and this becomes a bigger corrective structure that just goes sideways. So that's why you saw the market was in the trend last week. Nothing has happened in the last week. Look where we were. We have been in this range. So that's what we're going to be looking for on the US dollar, euro, US dollar, and the DXY. It's a ranging market. Don't get involved. Sit on your hands until you've got high probable setups. Pound US dollar. Now, pound US dollar, we are actually looking at this as an expanding flat, 1, 2, 3 waves here after the 3-wave move. Now, what we were focusing is for this to come down here, but the indicator is not confirming that downside. At the point here, we were looking for this one to drop, but it looks like we're going to have one more up before we come down. That just simply means that this move to the upside may be incomplete. So if you do get an entry here for upside, it should be a short-lived one. Don't get involved here. If you get involved here, you should be able to manage the trade for that upside may be very limited. That is pound US dollar. All right, so let me just see what it looks like on the website here. I think I showed you this structure last week on pound US dollar, looking for downside. As you can see, we've already picked up the top here. We've already picked up the top. We are just here on pound US dollar, but it is not showing downside. As you can see here, we may be getting another retest of the top here before coming down. So that is how we look at that. Right, so that is on the 1 hour as well as on the 4 hour, we're forecasting downside. Now this is the wrong chart. This is the euro. Sorry, I'm looking at pound US dollar. That is pound US dollar. As you can see, we've got the move to the upside. We've got this here. Are we going to drop, or are we going to make one more up? That's what we're going to wait for confirmation. That is not a setup that we are interested in anymore. We'll be watching that for downside after the move to the upside. Now looking at US dollar CHF. US dollar CHF, as I've said, as much as the DXY is showing short-term upside, the individual pairs under the DXY are showing much more downside. Now, this one is a clear one. US dollar CHF, you've got a passing move upside to the upside. We've got this one, 1, 2, 3. We'll be looking for US dollar CHF to come and retest the low here. After this, then we'll expect this one to at least bounce and then continue lower. That is what we're looking at there. On US dollar CHF, US dollar CAD showing downside as well. We'll be looking for this one here to continue lower. Just this one move here. We're looking for 1, 2, 3, No, we've actually had 1, 2, 3 to the upside here. We've got the 3-wave move to the upside. Now we've got this one in the lower degree, and we'll be looking for this one to continue lower. All right. So look out for this, because if that happens, then it means we're going to be sideways for a while. We've got 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 down. So it means we're going to be still sideways for a while on the dollar pairs, on the dollar pairs, because if that happens, 3 up, 3 down, we may still get a pulsing move to the upside and then downside. That is US dollar CAD. AUD US dollar, AUD US dollar is showing sideways. This is the reason why the market has not really been going anywhere last week. You can see we've got a triangle here, and the triangle is a ranging pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like we're gonna push slightly higher before we come down with this move. We started with this. This is an A, this is a B, and internally you've got your triangle in A, B, C, D, E. Are we gonna drop from there? Watch out for that. Obviously, you need to get confirmation for that. Now, New Zealand going sideways, maybe an interesting structure that's going to form here. We've got a pulsing move here, we've got that corrective structure. We've got this corrective structure here. I'm going to use the different color here. So that is a corrective structure. We can maybe getting another one in 3 waves. So we're going to have this one as W, X, and possible Y here before we drop. So that's what we're looking for here. Sideways, sideways. These sideways moves maybe in the next week or 2 as well. But as it is now, there isn't really good moves on the dollar pairs. US dollar ZAR, fortunately for South Africans, holding South African rands, continuation to the downside. That means continued US dollar South African rand strength against the dollar. So this is another one. This is going to drop, just like we said last week. This was going to drop. We've dropped from about 17 Rand 40 to about current levels at 17. 1 Rand 40. 1 Rand 40 is a big move as far as this pair is concerned. So look out for continuation to the downside. Yen pairs. Let's have a look at the yen pairs. Now, looking at the yen pairs, we are looking at this one to be a corrective structure, a flat correction like that, and continuation to the downside. It's not confirming downside as yet. We're still going to see one more up here. It's going to show us one more up. We're actually looking for this to have already come down. We already took a trade here prematurely, but it looks like it may take us out. If it doesn't, then that's fine. But what we are now expecting is a move to the upside, and we're going to be looking for this to come down. Right, so not much movement there, just sideways. So you can see it's just sideways move, and this is now US dollar yen. If you look at US dollar yen, we've got a move down here. We've got a pulsing move to the upside. Now this is a pulsing move, this is a corrective structure. It should drop, even if it's not going to drop all the way. Let's switch this off here. May not drop all the way, may just be a corrective structure. We start getting something like this. Okay, so for now, sideways. You can see we're focusing sideways. We don't see pulsing moves, we don't see trending moves. It's just sideways move. Here's another one. We're looking for this one to have made this corrective structure and for it to drop. So it looks like the correction is still going to continue slightly higher before we come down here. So you can see the range. That is the range. That is a theme for this week, for the past week, and it looks like it's going to continue this week until we've got a catalyst for price movements. Chiefy as well, same 3 waves there. We expected a drop immediately after the 3 waves. It drops with an impulse, but it is still showing a bit of upside, but we will eventually drop. So we had 3 waves down, pull back. We expected a continuation to the downside. Nothing has happened there. CAD yen, beautiful structure, but now no movement. We've got a pulsing move. We've got this flat, nice flat correction. We've got a pulsing move here, does not drop. Obviously, they're not going to make it obvious, okay? That is the move that we're going to be looking for. If it's going to drop, we're going to wait for this corrective structure to play out and give us confirmation for downside. As it is now, no confirmation. AUD yen, the same. It's just going sideways, not even a triangle. We've got this move up here, and we've got a pulsing move here. And if you look at the structure, we've got this here, we've got this one, may retest the top, come back down here. After that, you may get another move to the upside. That is an Elliott wave structure, complex corrective structure, as you can see. That is the focus. We're going sideways. We don't trade within these ranging moves. So we wait, we focus them, we understand when they're going to complete. When they complete, then we take the trades. That is AUD yen. New Zealand yen, same sideways, pulsing move up, pulsing move down. Let's see how this one is going to play out. It's making a flat correction. It's going to come back down. Then we're going to identify the structure. Maybe the structure comes down here, up, and then downside. It has to go up because if it doesn't, then the structure is incomplete. So that is New Zealand. Not good looking structures, or not rather good looking, rather ranging structures, not good for trade setups. Let's go to the pound pairs. Now, if you're looking for interesting setups for the week, look for the cross pairs. That's where the market is going to move. Right, so the cross pairs, check out the setups on the cross pairs. They're looking interesting. Now, this is pound chief that we've just shown you, that we've dropped from here, focused at 450 pips up to this level, up to 16 inch perfect. We've got that now. We've got a pulsing move to the upside. Right, now, is this now the reversal? Are we going to make a move to the upside? We wait for confirmation. It is not that obvious. Wait for this corrective structure. I would actually wait. I want a corrective structure this side, this size, if we're going to make a move to the upside. So wait for this to confirm. Yes, we're focusing upside, but it has to be confirmed. Now, why are we looking for that upside? That is because we've got this structure here. Simple expanding flat, if that's what you're going to play out here. So expanding flat after the big move to the upside. We had a big move to the upside, expanding flat. Is this now the end of the expanding flat, and now we're going to make a reversal? Does not happen that easy. So you may find this one that we make a deeper corrective structure before we make a move to the upside. Okay, so if this is not actually the reversal, you may even find something like this. Pulsing move, corrective structure, 3 waves, and you find that this continues to the downside. Now, if that happens, then you need to update the structure that you're looking for. Okay, so that is pound chief, pound Audi. We've already shown you this during trade setups. We're simply looking for continuation patterns to the downside. And we'll just show you this from the website on the pound pairs. Let's have a look. They are already updated and ready for the next week. So let's have a look at the pound pairs. So pound chief, we've already shown you pound chief, and what we're expecting, that is upside. We're expecting upside. That is a forecast. That is not a trade setup. Don't go and buy that just because you see the big arrow looking upside. Pound Audi, looking for continuation to the downside. So pound Audi can do the opposite of pound chief because the drivers are different. Could be driven by the Audi. So look out for continuation to the downside there. That is the structure that you're looking for on pound Audi. All right. Pound New Zealand, continuation to the downside. It's starting to slow down here, starting to slow down. That may even have an ending diagonal in wave 5, and we get a 3-wave pullback, a sharp 3-wave pullback. So watch out for pound New Zealand, maybe getting a very sharp reversal there. Lastly, pound CAD. I've shown you pound CAD is actually looking very interesting. Pound CAD, we had a trade setup. The trade setup that I've been showing is from here, and now we've made this corrective structure. You need to watch for this one here, for a drop. The structure is clear. We've got 1 down here, 3 here, and we're looking for another move to the downside here. So if that confirms, it will just be to confirm that structure on pound CAD. Let's just have a look at what it looks like. So last week on pound CAD, we had this corrective structure. We dropped up to this level. That was the forecast. We actually expected it to continue all the way, but we've made a bounce. That's nothing. It's just making a flat, and we're looking for continuation to the downside. But there's no confirmation for an immediate drop there. May still go sideways. Euro pound, a very interesting structure for downside. Watch out for this to drop. So that means we may see some strength on pound US dollar and pound chief. So let's have a look at this one for downside. Okay, wait for that confirmation. EURAUD. EURAUD has made an interesting structure here. Let's just make here. We have focused at this 3-wave move. Now, when this was making a move to the upside, when this was making this complex corrective structure, said expect this to drop. Doesn't matter how complex this was, we are able to dissect and understand when this is done. You see, then we get a move to the downside. This was an entry, another entry here. This one is a move to the downside. We may even take the low here. We may even take the low here and make a structure like this. Another flat in a bigger degree before we drop. So watch out for that. Either that or we drop straight. Indicator will tell us that. EURCAD, Now, EUROCAD is similar to EUROAUD. Expect the same thing. The corrective structure looks very complex. We've seen this happen before, and I'll show you again. You see this here? This is a corrective structure. It's going to drop. It will drop. Now, the question is, when will it drop? And are you able to pick that up? Because this is the corrective structure. It's a very complex structure here, but I'll show you that we've seen exactly this the exact similar structure on this exact same pair, and we've been able to identify it before. 1, 2, we expect continuation to the downside. Just to show you a bit of structure here, we've got a pulsing move to the upside. The whole yellow structure is a correction, and you may get a move down here. We get another bounce up here, and you're gonna get something like this. That's the structure that may happen. Let me see if I can find, it was not very long ago, actually I found it already. It was not very long ago when we had a similar complex structure that eventually dropped. Can you see here? I've already moved my chart. So it's a similar structure. We had a pulsing move here. We had this as a corrective structure. I'm not gonna draw it, identify it exactly. So this is the corrective structure. See how complex this is here? And we eventually drops. We made a corrective structure and then we drop here. It's exactly similar to what is happening here right now. It's complex, but eventually we're gonna make a drop. So we may make a drop here and make a move to the upside like we did here. Okay, so that is fractals there on EUROCAD. EUROCHF. EUROCHF continues to the downside, maybe an ending diagonal on EUROCHF. Let's show the structure here. We show the structure. I see this, it's quiet on the chat box there. Remember, Sandile is on the chat box. Guys, if you've got any questions, fire right away. That is the advantage of being on the live webinar. We've got here on EUROCHF, a pulsing move up and a pullback. Now, this should be a diagonal if it's going to be a wave C. So it's coming down exactly like that. It's a diagonal. Let's have a look here. We're looking at this one to be making a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diagonal. Let's have a look at that. Still dropping, but do not get carried away with this drop here because it may bounce from the diagonal and bounce back up. Euro New Zealand, clear downside, similar to Euro Audi. You can see here 1, 2, 3. Now we are right here at the bottom. Now what you see here is a spike that looks like it's going to continue to the downside. Doesn't mean anything until we get that confirmation. Structurally, we will expect a bounce here and then continuation to the downside. That is the forecast that we have here. We're expecting a 1, a 2, a bounce before we come down. Now, this will only be invalidated if we start correcting here and then we see downside. Now, we see, if we get that, that means the structure is going to change and then we're going to start looking for continuation to the downside. That is a Euro, New Zealand, EURZAR, just for interest. EURZAR is going to continue lower. ZAR is going to continue, it's going to show strength against most of its counterparts. So look out for continuation to the downside. I'm showing you EUROZAR because it looks high probable for downside. Now the crosses, as I was saying, the crosses are more likely to show better moves than most. So this is AUDCAD. So AUDCAD, we've been looking for it to get out of this structure, but it has just been sideways. AUDCAD is really not showing anything here. We're not seeing anything there, so let's just adjust there. Okay, so AUDCAD, we'll be looking for this one to make a pullback here to complete this. So we've got a W here in 3 waves. We've got 1, 2, 3 here. That is in X. Now we're looking for this one to give us a move to the downside. That will complete the structure like this. Let's show the 3 waves here that you will see on this structure. Downside before we make a move to the upside. So look for downside on AUDCAD. AUDCHF. AUDCHF, this is why I was saying these are highly probable. So this is much more likely to drop than any other pair currently. So we've got to have this one. Look out for it to come down to this level because we may just be getting these 3 waves here up to this level. And eventually we're going to have this pulsing move, correction, and a pulsing move. Then downside, downside. So AUDCHF, very likely for downside. AUD New Zealand. AUD New Zealand, we actually saw it from right here at the top. has dropped, has made a 3-wave pullback here, should continue lower, but wait for another 1 hour pullback for downside. And New Zealand CAD, sideways, not showing anything. It's showing a continuation pattern here, but it's too expensive to buy it at these levels. We may get short-term upside here before we drop. And New Zealand Chief, we had a sell setup around this area. This is where the sell setup. We dropped about 62 pips to around this area, but eventually has reversed when we got to this level. So what we're seeing here is a simple flat correction. Simple flat correction. We should possibly see this one drop with the same structure. Very likely this can happen. Sorry, that was not New Zealand Chief. The one that we sold for 62 pips was this one. This was here. My apologies. This one, you can refer to the previous videos where we showed this setup here for downside. We actually wanted it to continue lower than that, but you can see that we are making this corrective structure. We may be going up for one, but structure is showing much more downside. We've got 3 up here. If we make 1 more up here, that will be a perfect flat correction. Then we're going to have this 3 up, 3 down, 3 up. Then we look for this one as a flat correction and then downside. Right, guys, and lastly, last group here is the indices. And the indices, going to look at the latest structure, just the current structure here. We've got this pulsing move here. Look out for this. Remember, last week we were just looking for this one to do 3 waves. It is still 3 waves, just that the B here is going to be a flat. As you can see, we're looking for a flat and then continuation to the upside. If it continues straight from here, that is going to be an invalid Elliott wave structure. So there's no such structure in the wave theory like this. So that's why we're expecting this one to make 1, 2, 3. All of them look similar. That's just 3 waves with a flat in between, except for the NASDAQ. You'll see when you get to the NASDAQ. This is now Dow, same, pulsing move, flat, and then downside. If you remember, we had setups for upside from here, and then we expected this to end here. Now we've got a move here. So this is corrective, not necessarily setups that one can get involved in. The NASDAQ is at all-time highs. I'm expecting a pullback here. We've made this expanding flat, or sorry, running flat. All-time highs, should get a pullback, but continuation to the upside. Whatever pullback we get on the NASDAQ, watch out for continuation to the upside. UK 100, the same. So 1 move to the upside here. UK 100, we get 1, 2, a flat, and then downside before we push to the upside. That is the UK 100 and the DAX. DAX, we've got 1, 2, 3. Down here, and then we get a move to the upside. That's the structure that we're looking for there on the DAX. Bit of a pullback on most of the indices for the next coming week. The Nikkei showing a bit of strength, but we may see this one pulling back to this level. 1, 2, 3. You can see all of them have got similar structures, and then we'll look for this one to continue higher. So this long-term forecast, medium-term forecast, we're just looking for these corrective structures to complete. When they're complete, then we'll be able to focus the next direction. That is the Nikkei. And lastly, the Nifty. Nifty keeps continuing to the upside and looking for that target to the upside. Because you can see, regardless of what the rest of the indices are doing, the Nifty keeps pushing higher. Last week we were here with this corrective structure, so it's going to continue to the upside and will eventually hit our target there. That's all for this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Watch out for the crypto webinar right after this. 10 minutes after this, we'll be starting with the crypto webinar. Check it out. Have a great week. Cheers, everybody. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell notification. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.